There are two houses on my street that I think about almost every morning when I walk out for the paper. Both of them paid off. Both of them belong to good men, men about my age, who worked their whole lives so their children would have something solid when they were gone. Both of those men have passed now, within about a year of each other, and the thing I cannot get out of my head is this. One of those families had the keys to their father's house in hand inside of a week, clean, settled, the way he wanted it. The other family. And these were good kids too, kids who loved their dad every bit as much. The other family spent the better part of a year going back and forth to a courthouse with a lawyer running the meter the whole time, while that house just sat there, empty, locked up. Nobody could sell it. Nobody could move in. Nobody could touch a dollar of it because a judge had not signed off yet. Same street, same size house, same love for their children, and the whole difference between those two endings was one afternoon of paperwork. One man sat down and did it. The other kept meaning to. I am 72 years old. I have a house, and I have 3 kids. And after I watched what that second family went through, I came home, and I sat down at this table, and I made good and sure that mine would get the first ending. Today, I am going to show you exactly how, in plain words, no lawyer talk, no scare, just what the difference was, and how you settle it at your own kitchen table. If you are new to my porch, my name is Frank. I taught shop to teenagers for a good while, and then I carried the mail in this town for the better part of 20 years. So I have walked past those two houses about 10,000 times. I raised 3 children in the house I am sitting in right now. I buried my wife Margaret 4 years ago, and when she went, I found out the hard way how much she had quietly handled all those years. The papers, the accounts, the things you never think about until one of you is gone and the other one is standing in the kitchen holding a folder he has never once opened. So I am not a lawyer, and I will not pretend to be one. I am just a man who got a good scare, did his homework, and does not want your children standing in a courthouse hallway someday, wondering where on earth you kept the deed. Now, almost everybody I talk to believes the very same thing I believed, and it is wrong. And it is the exact thing that cost that second family their year. We believe that if you have a will, you are done. You wrote down who gets the house, you signed it, maybe a lawyer watched you do it. So the house just goes to the kids. That is what a will is for, is it not? What nobody ever told us is this: a will does not keep your house out of that courthouse. A will is the very thing that sends it there. A will is not a key you hand your children. It is a letter you write to a judge, asking him please to pass your house along the way you wanted, and the judge reading that letter and proving it is real and giving his permission and watching over the whole handoff. That has a name. It is called probate. That is the year. That is the lawyer's meter. The will does not skip it. The will is your ticket to stand in line for it. Now, we will get to the house in a minute, and the right way to keep it out of that line. But before any of the big pieces, let me hand you the easiest thing in this whole video. It is free, and you can do it this very week, and it is not even about the house. Think about your bank accounts, your life insurance, the retirement money. Every one of those had a little form years back where you wrote down who gets it when you are gone. And that little form quietly outranks everything. It beats your will. It will even beat the trust I am about to tell you about. Picture it. Your will says everything goes to your 3 children, but the form on some old insurance policy still says your brother, because you filled it out in 1985 and never looked at it again. Your brother gets that money. The form wins. Every time. So go and pull those forms. Call the bank, call the insurance company, and ask them one plain question. Who is listed on this account right now today? You may find an ex-spouse sitting on there. You may find the name of somebody who has already passed. 5 minutes on the telephone sets it right, and it does not cost you a cent. That one call has spared more families more heartache than any fancy document I could ever name you. Do that one this week. Now, the house. So, the house. Let me tell you what probate actually is, because the word sounds like nothing, and it is not nothing. When you pass, if the house is in your name, and only your name, it cannot move to a single soul until a court says so. Your family hires a lawyer. There is the first bill. They file your will with the court, and then they wait. The court takes its time making sure there are no unpaid debts, no arguments, no long-lost relative about to crawl out of the woodwork, and that the will in its hand is the real and final one. In some states, that is a few months. In plenty of others, it is a year. And I have heard of worse. And the whole time, the house is frozen. Think about what that meant for that second family on my street. The daughter could not sell it to cover the cost of her own father's funeral. The son could not move into it. The taxes and the insurance still came due, and they paid them out of pocket while they were grieving. And because a court file is a public thing, any stranger who cared to could walk in and read what their father left, and to whom. He had not done anything wrong. He had just done nothing. And nothing, it turns out, is the most expensive thing you can leave your children. Now the good news, because I do not hand you a worry without handing you the way out. There is a way to give your kids that house like a key instead of like a court case. The most common one, the workhorse the lawyers point ordinary folks like us toward, is a thing called a revocable living trust. And I know, the second I say the word trust, somebody hears rich people. Pete, down at the diner, is already shaking his head. Pete will swear up and down that a trust is for men with yachts, and the rest of us just need a will and a handshake. Pete is wrong. And he is wrong in a way that is quietly costing regular families that whole year in court. A revocable living trust is not a rich man's vault. In plain words, it is a box. You put your house into the box while you are still alive, and you keep every single key to it. You are still the boss. You live in the house. You sell it if you please. You change your mind. You tear the whole thing up. That is all revocable means, that you can undo it any day you like. Nothing about your ordinary day changes one bit, but because the house is owned by the box now, instead of by you, when you pass there is nothing left for the court to do. The house is already where it needs to be. Your children step into the box, and it is theirs in days, not months. No judge, no public file, no meter running. Now, let me be honest about what that trust does not do, because the honest part is exactly the part the slick fellows leave out. A revocable trust does not save you a dime in taxes while you are alive, and it does not hide your house from a nursing home or from Medicaid. Because you still hold every key, the government still counts the house as yours. There are heavier tools for that fight, and that is a talk for another day. I tell you this plainly because there is a whole business out there banking on you not knowing it. You have gotten the card in the mail. A free dinner, a free seminar, come learn how to protect your home and your family. You go for the steak, and what they serve you is a scare. A fellow stands up at the front and tells you the court is going to eat your house, the nursing home is going to take everything, your kids will be left with nothing. And would you look at that? Lucky you, tonight only, he can sell you a trust to fix it all. $2,000, $3,000, sign right here. And here is what ought to make you set your fork down. Half the time, the trust is not even what he came to sell. The trust is just the door. Once he has your account numbers, what he is really after is moving your savings into an annuity that pays him a fat commission, and locks your money up for years where you cannot reach it. Folks our age have lost real money to this, so let me say it as plain as I can. Nobody who feeds you a steak dinner is doing it to save your children money. The real tools are not expensive, and you get them from a regular attorney in your own town who charges an honest fee by the hour, not from a stranger working a banquet room with a slideshow and a chafing dish. And if you do get a real one, there is a catch. The one that undoes more families than any other, the one I very nearly walked past myself. A trust only works if you actually put the house into it. Making the trust is half the job. You, or the lawyer helping you, have to change the title on the house, so the box owns it now and not you. They call that funding the trust. It is the step everybody forgets. I have heard of folks who paid good money for a beautiful trust, signed every page, felt the weight come off their shoulders, slid it into a drawer, and never moved the house in. So when they passed, the house was still in their own name. Their family went through that whole year in court anyway, with an expensive, useless trust sitting in the drawer the entire time. A trust with no house in it is a handsome leather binder and nothing else. So do not stop at signing. Make certain the house is actually moved in. Say it out loud to whoever helps you. Is my home titled in the name of this trust now? Do not assume it. Check it. Now maybe you are thinking, Frank, I do not want a whole trust. It is just the house. Is there not something simpler? And for a great many of you, depending on where you live, there is. A good number of states, not all of them, let you sign one piece of paper that names who gets the house when you pass, and it skips the courthouse the very same way. It goes by different names: a transfer on death deed, a beneficiary deed. It is the house version of naming a beneficiary, just like you did on your life insurance. You go on living in your home, you own it free and clear. You can change your mind or sell anytime. And the day you pass, the house goes straight to the name on that paper. No probate. In a lot of places, the fee to record it is small, somewhere around $30 or $40, though a few counties charge more. A few tens of dollars set against a year in the courthouse, but not every state offers it, and it only handles the house, not your accounts. So for some folks, that simple deed is the whole answer, and for others, the trust is the better tool because it carries everything at once. Which one is right for you depends on your state and on what you own. And that is the one place I will tell you to spend a little money. Sit down with an estate attorney in your own state for 1 honest hour and let them tell you which road is yours. That hour is the best money in this whole video. And you may be asking what I asked, sitting right here with all these papers spread out. If this matters so much and the fixes are this cheap, why did nobody ever sit me down and tell me? Same answer as always. There is no commission on a clean handoff. The court does not advertise the way around the court. The lawyer who would bill your family for a year of probate is not going to mail you a $30 deed. And the man with the free dinner does better the more frightened you are. The only people who come out ahead when your house passes clean and quiet and cheap are your own children, which means you are the one who has to start it. Nobody is going to start it for you. Nobody is paying me to tell you any of this. No law firm, no bank, nobody. No company sponsors this porch. I am 72. I have what I need, and I cannot stand the thought of one more good family losing the worst year of their grief to a courthouse hallway over something their father could have settled in an afternoon. When I sorted all this out for myself, I put it in a plain folder on the shelf where my kids know to look. The deed, the trust papers, the accounts, those beneficiary forms where the spare key is. A manila folder and a pen will do that whole job for nothing. If you would rather have the fuller version I built for myself, it is on my website. The link is below. But you do not need it, and I mean that. And the free card I always leave you, the 5 phone calls that put money back in your pocket, is down there too. Same as every week. That card finds the money. This folder saves your family the year. So let me gather it up. Simple. A will does not skip the court. It walks your family into it. If you want your kids to get the house clean, put it somewhere the court does not have to touch. For most of us, that is a living trust. And for many of you, a simple transfer on death deed does it for a small recording fee. Ask an attorney in your state, which one is yours? Whichever you pick, actually move the house into it. Do not let it sit unsigned in a drawer. Go check the beneficiary forms on your accounts, because that little form beats every other paper you own. And never, ever buy a trust from a man who bought you dinner. That is the whole of it. Not one piece of it asks you to be rich or a lawyer or brave. It asks you for one afternoon. I think again about those 2 houses on my street. I still walk past the second one most days, the one that sat empty and frozen for the better part of a year while good people grieved and waited and paid. The grass got long, the porch light stayed off, and it did not have to go that way. The other house had children in it again by spring, a swing set going up in the backyard, a light on in the kitchen come evening. Same kind of house, same kind of love behind it. One afternoon was the only thing that stood between them. When I am gone, I know which of those 2 houses I want mine to be. I want the light on. I want my kids to have the keys right there in their hands, and their father's wishes already settled and plain. So the only thing left for them to do is grieve me, and then go on living. Not paperwork, not a courthouse, just the house and the porch and the next family to fill it. Now I would like to hear from you. Down in the comments, tell me one thing. Have you ever had to settle a parent's house? Did they leave it to you clean? Or did you spend that year in the court? The folks who have lived through the hard version of this are the finest teachers the rest of us have got. I will read as many as I can and pin the ones that will help a neighbor see it coming. I cannot answer every single one. There are more of you than there is of me these days. But I read them, and the hard-won ones I pin, so we can all learn from somebody who has already stood right where you are standing. There is more of this, the quiet, practical things nobody sits you down and explains until it has already cost you something. That is what this porch is for, one afternoon at a time. If you would like a seat, you know where the subscribe button is. Until then, look after your money, look after your knees, and call your kids.